run it for 3 more years. And so this is when Walt decided to go to Manhattan to talk to the distributor, Charles Mintz, and see if he could get a raise so he could approve the series and continue to pay all these animators he had. Unfortunately, instead of getting a raise, he found out that Charles Mintz had stolen the rights to Oswald as well as almost all of Walt's animators. So he no longer had a crew and he was no longer part of the series. So that train ride home from Manhattan was a long one, and it's where Walt would create the most memorable Disney character we all know today, Mickey Mouse. When speaking about how Mickey Mouse came to be, Walt was quoted as saying, "He popped out of my mind onto a drawing pad on a train ride from Manhattan to Hollywood at a time when business fortunes of my brother Roy and myself were at lowest ebb and disaster seemed right around the corner. Little did he know this mouse would change his life for the better." Mickey jump-started Walt's success and gave him the profits he needed to continue his work. Mickey Mouse eventually became the mascot of the Disney brand. So that's a little bit about his role as an artist. Now I'm going to talk about his role as a film producer. Walt Disney's first big film was Steamboat Willie, which was released in 1928. Steamboat Willie was the first animated film that featured synchronized sound. It starred Mickey Mouse, and Walt actually did the voice of Mickey in this movie. Another big movie for Walt was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It premiered in late 1937. It was the first full-length feature animated film in Technicolor. And according to an article I found on History.com called Disney Releases Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from February 4th of 1938, it took 3 years and $1.5 million to create, which is an unheard of amount in the Depression era. The result of all this work and money was the highest grossing film of the year at $8 million and more than 8 Oscar awards. Over the next years, Walt would produce many well-known movies that we still have today, like Fantasia, Pinocchio, Dumbo, Bambi, Mary Poppins, and many more. During his days as a producer, Walt made Disney a household name and became famous. According to the awards database at Oscars.org, accessed February 10th of 2013, he won 26 Academy Awards, including 4 honorary mentions, more than any other person in Academy Award history, and nobody's even come close to meeting that record. So that's a little bit about his life as a producer, and finally I'm going to talk to you about his role as an entrepreneur. So Walt dreamt of a place where families could take their children, go on rides together, and meet the Disney characters. He wanted a park that was clean, safe, alcohol-free, unlike the other midways and carnivals that were around. He and Roy had saved some money by this time, but not the $17 million it would take to build the park. He finally approached, he tried to get fundraising, but no one believed the park would be a success. There was no other thing like it, and they didn't want to risk their money. He finally approached ABC with a proposal of giving them a show in exchange for funding the park. They agreed, and Walt produced a show called Disneyland, which previewed different themed areas of the new and upcoming park. 1 year later, Disneyland opened in 1955 in Anaheim, California. A couple years after the success of Disneyland, Walt began plans for another theme park, an experimental prototype of Community of Tomorrow, also known as Epcot. Epcot was Walt's vision of what the future community would look like. It would never be complete, but always evolving with new technologies. It would be a place where people could experience fun science. Unfortunately, Walt died before the park was complete in 1966. In 1971, his brother Roy opened the park in Orlando, Florida, and named it Walt Disney World. Epcot, which is sometimes referred to as the Permanent World's Fair, ended up opening 11 years later in 1982. It featured technical innovation and international culture. In conclusion, Walt Disney held many roles over his lifetime that made a big impact on society. Today I shared with you 3 of these roles. The first as an artist, next as a film producer, and finally as an entrepreneur. So the next time you want to go to a place where you have no cares or worries or want to experience different worlds with